Hello and welcome to the Kayden Show, today's best country mix. Joining me right here today is Tony from Calico. Tony, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on.
It is my pleasure. So why don't we start getting to know you and the band a little bit and how you got started in the music industry?
Yeah, so we're a pandemic band. So we're purely a product of kind of those isolated times of 2020 when we were all, locked in our homes because of the global pandemic. And myself and our drummer Chris Kudo had this idea to start a project and record some songs that I had written over the period of 5 or 8 years, and there was a large pool of tunes there, and we'd never recorded them and didn't have the time because of our various schedules. So that's kind of really how Calico started. We recorded everything from afar during the pandemic and did Zoom calls and Skype calls, like so many people did, to connect. And that was how we connected via music. We wrote music over Zoom, basically.
What is it about music that you absolutely love about it?
I think for me, it's it's a ability for me to channel my thoughts, my emotions, my stories. I mean, a lot of these songs initially started off as poems. Before I was a guitar player, I was just a poet. I just wrote poems, and that was my way to kind of channel what was inside of me that I think many musicians maybe can relate to. It's hard to get out sometimes, and so for me in our group, but for me as the songwriter, music is kind of that ability to get the things out that can sometimes be harder to release, and through song and through poetry, that's an avenue for me to release those things, that are deep down inside of me.
If you had the opportunity to duet or collaborate with any singer, who would you choose and why?
That's a great question. My first answer to that would be Bob Dylan, just because I'm a huge Dylan fan, and I think a lot of my inspiration comes from Dylan, just as an incredible poet and growing up listening to his music, and I resonate with so much of his music and so many of his songs, and I find him to be really like a lyric first artist. And then my second answer would be the War on Drugs, because I'm a huge War on Drugs fan, and I think their sound in a lot of ways it has a lot of Dylan in it. But it's dreamy music, and it takes you on a ride, and I think playing with them would be amazing.
So do you have any upcoming singles or projects that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so we just released our second studio album called Midnight Moon, about a month ago now, on February 16th. And we actually have our third studio album that's going to be released in about 6 months. That'll be called Northern Girl. So we're taking a little break just because we just released, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Midnight Moon, which you can find on most streaming platforms. And then probably this fall we'll have our third album, Northern Girl, be released.
What advice would you give somebody that might want to start doing music, Calico?
I think the most important thing about music is that you be yourself entirely, from the creative process to the production to the performance side of things. I think artists and musicians nowadays can get caught up in image and how you look and how people perceive you. But I think as an audience, and as a lover of music as well myself, I gravitate so much to artists that show themselves, whether it's through their songwriting or how they perform on stage, the rawness, the realness. And so I think for anyone that's starting to write or wants to start in a band, or create a band of their own, that just be yourself. And I think from there on, good things kind of fall into place after that.
If someone was to write a song about you, what do you think that they take the time to write about?
It's a great question. I think maybe they tell a story of my life and how I like to be around people and enjoy community and love nature and the outdoor world and my kids. And I think maybe hopefully it would be a long lyrically driven song with melancholy chord progressions.
If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so if you want to check out our music, you can go to Calico, all capitals, on Spotify. You'll find us there. Apple Music, YouTube Music has us. And then our Instagram page is calico.music, and you can find us there. And there's links to all our music and additional streaming platforms. So you can give our music a listen and see what you think. And I think our hope is that we can convey some sort of imagery and emotion through our sound. So hopefully that resonates with the listener, and you can feel that when you listen to the tunes.
If you had the opportunity to play at any venue, and if this is the only venue that you get the opportunity to play at, where would you go and why?
The Greek Theater in Berkeley, California. I grew up in the Bay Area of California, in Berkeley, actually, specifically, and grew up going to those shows. Big outdoor, beautiful venue in the hills, trees in the background, and saw some of the best shows I'd seen there. The Black Crowes, Tom Petty, and the Heartbreakers back when he was around. So I'd say first and foremost, Greek Theater for sure. It's big venue but intimate, and the sound is just lovely in there. So that'd be the dream.
What do you like doing outside of music? Do you have any hobbies, interests, anything like that?
Yeah, love to fly fish. I'm a dad of two daughters, so I spend a lot of my time parenting my two little girls. I'm an athlete and play a bunch of sports, and um, love to travel. So when I get the opportunity, we like to go and explore the world and eat foods and experience cultures. And um, I like to kind of consider myself one who dabbles in multiple things. So I'm a songwriter for sure, but I also love so many other aspects of life, and love to do as much as I can. Sometimes get too busy, um, but yeah.
If music wasn't an option for you, what do you think you'd be doing right now, career wise?
Mm, well, I actually have a kind of a adjacent career path to music, and I work within the climate sector. So I'm really passionate about the environmental movement and about climate action specifically, and engaging people in projects around bettering our planet and helping our ecosystems restore. And when I was younger, I farmed and have a background in agriculture. So I mean, I'm already doing that outside of music, but that's my answer would be that, because that's a kind of a my parallel passion to music is that, and that actually influences a lot of my music, because I think our music is really rooted in the natural environment and the Pacific Northwest where we live. So environmental work.
If you could give one message to your fans or anyone that might be listening or watching this, what would you tell them?
Mm, I think I'd say keep the hope alive. Remember, you're not alone. I think Calico, I said at the beginning of the podcast that we were a product of the pandemic, and one of the things I think that sparked so much joy in this project was that it brought hope, at a time of despair and a lot of loss for so many people. And a lot of our music is rooted in mental health, and I think the importance of having a place to speak and be heard. And so I think and hopefully, that music maybe can be that friend in your ear if you take a listen to it. But um, always know that there's someone out there that cares about you, and if you need the support, that there's someone out there that loves you and is willing to give it.
Absolutely. Calico, is there anything that I forgot to mention that you would like to mention?
No, thanks so much, Kayden, for having us on or having me on, and we're excited to continue to release music and share our sound, with as many listeners that are willing to put our tunes on. So thanks so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Calico, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Kayden Gordon Show today's Best Country Mix. We definitely appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.